Smart automation, better business. Learn how to optimize your business with Solved.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about how we can map within Revenue Cloud from the quote to the order. So in order to do this, we're going to be mapping through the sales transaction context definition. And we're going to map through the quote entities mapping to the sales transaction. And then we're going to map from there through the order entities mapping to the order. And so that's how we'll map a field's value from the quote all the way to the order within Revenue Cloud. If you've been watching our last videos, you've seen how to map from the product to the quote line all the way to the asset. And so this is a very similar process, but a little bit different since we're going from the quote to the order. So let's jump into Salesforce. You're going to go to Setup and go to Context Definitions. And then you're going to go to your active sales transaction context definition that most likely you cloned or extended from the standard sales transaction context definition. So once you're in here, you're going to edit it so that we can add some attributes. You're going to click next. This a little bigger. Next. And I'm going to go to the sales transaction where I'm going to make sure I have an attribute. So I have this installation date attribute, and you're going to make sure it has a tag. So I just put install date as a tag and then make sure that's good to go. Then you can save that. And then you're going to come here to the quote entities map. And click map. So if you remember, this is a similar place to where we mapped from the quote line to the order product and in that process there. But now we're mapping from the quote. So instead of going to the sales transaction item, we're going to use the sales transaction node. And I'm going to search for installation date and come down to the sales transaction where I see an unmapped sales installation date attribute. And I want to map that to the quote installation date. Just like that. And so although the direction does look like I'm mapping from the sales transaction to the quote, and this is something that's often confusing, since I set up that attribute for input and output, it's also going to go from the quote to the sales transaction, which is what we needed to do in order to go from quote to sales transaction to order. And so coming back here, we're now going to, once this is saved, we're going to go back to the context definition, and we're going to go to the order entities mapping. Go to map. And we're going to map from the sales transaction to the order. So I'm mapping from the sales transaction installation date to the order installation date. And in case I think I mention this, but make sure you have your field set up on the quote and the field set up on the order. So in my example, I'm mapping installation date on the quote to installation date on the order. One thing to call out, I've called out before, is they don't have to be the same API name, which is a great feature within Revenue Cloud, but I just have them as the same API name for this example. Great. So once we've mapped that, then we're good to go. Now to test this, I'm going to go to a quote that has a quote line, and I'm going to say create order. So it's going to run and it's going to create the order. Now if we go to the order, we'll see that the installation date correctly mapped over from the quote where it's set there to the order there. And so that's how you map from the quote to the order. Make sure to check out our other videos on mappings, but also other things within Revenue Cloud, Agentforce, and how to automate your business. Thanks.
Thank you so much for watching. We can't wait to help you automate your business. Please like, comment, or subscribe for more.